wasted nights, you piss them all away. Little children in the street, dying every day. We all look for something we can never find, as we all need peace of mind. Lonely wretch on the street, looking for love. $20 beneath the sheets. Is this all she thinks of? We all look for something.
Three, two, one.
Hey, Timmy, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. Hey, we had an awful hard time connecting tonight. I think it's the curse of Mantella on us. Okay, Troy Mayor Mantella, we've been cursed.
Well, it's sad, but at the last minute, I had to change up a few slides, and that probably caused us a couple minutes
Yeah,
delay.
whatever. So, but we're ready to go.
Yeah, so today's I'm excited about the podcast, but I'm a little heartbroken, and one of the reasons that it probably took a little longer is, again, we had to add a slide, and for anybody who lives in the city of Cohoes, who's been a Cohosier their whole life or even half their life, you had the pleasure to be protected and served by Tommy Ross. Tommy Ross was in the police department for 50 years.
Yeah, great guy.
50 years. I was 6 years old when he came on the job, and I was privileged to be the mayor to help keep our city safe by working with Tommy. I promoted him to assistant chief, and I put up on or above his picture, Chief Tom Ross, because at the end of his career, I know he served in the capacity as the chief while they were trying to put their new department together. So acting chief is what they would call it. But to me, that still made him the chief of the department. So he worked his way up from a patrolman all the way up to the chief. I'm heartbroken. He was a good, solid man. When I talk about being a man, he was a man's man, right? Boy, when you worked for him, he was as tough as a bastard. But, he was never tougher than he was on himself, right? He wanted you to work hard. He worked hard. He wanted you to dedicate your life to your career. He dedicated his life to his career. Cohoes was a better place when Tommy was with us. We were a safer place. We were a better city. We were a better department. And he's going to be greatly missed. And to his wife, Pam, and to his children, my deepest condolences. Tommy, I love you. I know that you can hear me. And, we're all going to miss you greatly.
Yeah, he was a true professional. I had an opportunity to sit down with him from time to time. They're going over certain things that were going on around the city. But the guy was a true professional.
I used to say, Tommy, I think you're bipolar. He said, I think you're bipolar. I go, why? He goes, because one minute you're happy, the next minute you're mad. I go, that's what I was just going to say about you. He'd walk into my office and he'd be the happiest guy in the world. He'd come in an hour later and I'd be afraid of him because he was so intense, right? If something had to be done, it had to be done right.
Yeah.
And he always gave me great advice. You know what he used to say to me, Sean, screw these politicians. He goes, they come and go, but we'll always be here. And that's when I was a firefighter. He was saying that. Yeah. So I think when I became a politician, he really did enjoy working with me. I enjoyed working with him.
Yep.
And I know there's a lot of people that are heartbroken today. And certainly I am one of them.
Sure. So, Godspeed, Tom Ross.
Godspeed, Tommy. I want to jump over to something outside of the city for a minute, Timmy, before we hit up all of the good stuff in Cohoes. And that is, if you got to watch the basketball game.
The NCAA tournament down in Albany MVP Arena, yep.
Absolutely. And it was just an amazing game, right?
Great.
But, during that game, the ESPN commentator and you know her well because you watch a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
would be, yeah, that's Rebecca Lobo.
Rebecca Lobo
Yep.
made a comment, and it was a comment that came out of a different set of circumstances.
Hmm.
The other commentator was talking about how Caitlin was in her room and her parents were calling her saying, "Come on, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And she said to her parents, "Leave me alone. I'm staying in my room till it's time to play this game. You go do something in Albany. You go find something to do." And the commentator said, "If you can find anything in Albany." And I heard it, but
Yeah, I did.
it didn't faze me a bit because, to tell you the truth,
Mhm.
if you live in Albany, if you're around the MVP arena, there is nothing to do. You could go out and have a bite to eat at some nice restaurants. You can have some beer. But if you're with your family, it isn't like, oh, let's
Yeah.
walk outside in Albany. There's all these great things to do. But I wanted just to play this because I got a kick out of this.
ESPN commentator told the millions of people watching the LSU Iowa game last night, good luck finding something to do
Good luck finding something to do in Albany. No shit, really.
in Albany. Albany is firing
say
back
that
today,
pretty
though.
much
News Channel
about
13's
anybody.
Tessa Bentulin spoke to people all day, finding out what they think. She's live in downtown Albany. Tessa, good evening to you.
Hi, good evening, Mark. Most people don't like it when an outsider, bashes on their own city, especially when there are things to do in Albany. So that's why I decided to come here in downtown Albany. We're on Pearl Street right now, and ask people who are born and raised in Albany, who recently moved to the area, and also visitors what they think about Lobo's comment.
Albany rocks,
Yeah,
okay?
rocks, all right.
And this guy loves Albany so much, he drives from Vermont to come work here.
It's terrific, and my wife and I used to bring our kids here. We would go to the Albany State Museum, and you've got the state campus, and there's so many wonderful education institutions here.
It's not just Gary Lieben who feels that way. The people who live here do too.
It's got its charm.
The announcer was wrong because there's plenty to do in Albany. There really is. But if you're from out of town for a short period of time, you might not be able to really put it all together and figure.
Now, that guy is absolutely right. You heard what he said, Tim. He said, hey, there's things to do in Albany, but if you're from out of town, you might not be able to put it all together. And that's what I said. This lady didn't say anything wrong. The people who should be ashamed and up in arms is the mayor of Albany. What did they do to plan for these thousands of people on a holiday weekend in a city that usually shuts down in downtown at 3 o'clock in the afternoon anyway? What did they do to ensure that these people would come and know what to do in Albany? What kind of itinerary?
Yeah.
Right. What kind of itinerary did they put together? Did they put something together that says, hey, here's 20 places you can go. This one you could walk. This you could take an Uber. This you could take a bus. Hey, you can go to Cohoes, New York and see the second biggest falls outside of Niagara Falls. They didn't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They did nothing. So this lady says, hey, if you can find something to do, she wasn't picking on Albany. She was talking the truth. If you ain't from here, you ain't going to find a lot to do in that downtown.
Yeah,
Except maybe what that guy said, there's rocks. This place rocks. Yes, rocks thrown at your head. Gunshots fired down the street. It is a tough place right now.
Yeah.
It is a place that I wouldn't bring my family. I really wouldn't. I don't want to be in downtown Albany, especially at nighttime.
Yes.
But she did nothing wrong other than say, hey, if you can find something to do. And instead of talking about the game, instead of talking about how great the game was, instead of talking about the crime in Albany, and I have never seen them go out in the news like this, Timmy, and walk the streets and talk to people about the crime, but they'll do it because somebody said, hey, there's nothing to do in Albany. That's how screwed up we are as a country. That's how screwed up the media is.
Well, you get an influx of 70,000 people, okay, hotel accommodations, okay. Look at even some of the media were complaining about their accommodations. And what I said to you off air, I said, what are they complaining for? They get front row seats to everything, okay? And sometimes you just can't make everybody happy, you know?
The reality is this, right? We had a fantastic basketball game.
Yep.
The focus should have been on that game. If I was doing anything with media, I would have said, hey, LSU, you should have at least stood up for the national anthem. How about you do a segment about that? But instead they and you know what? I don't even know if I would have made a big deal about that. The game was fantastic.
Yeah.
The coach said, hey, we didn't do anything on purpose. At 12 minutes before the game, we go back into the
Yeah.
locker room. Maybe that was some lack of communication. Maybe the rules should say everybody to be out of the locker on the floor 7 minutes or 8 minutes before the game. You
Well,
can
at
have
least
the
know right. At least know the itinerary, what was going on for the event.
That's right. And,
You
and
know.
and and therefore you would have known when the national anthem was. So I'm
Yeah.
not so mad about that because I don't
Yeah.
believe that they didn't do it because they disrespected,
No, I
you
don't
know,
think so either.
I really don't. I
I just
believe the
don't think
coach.
Albany's let them know.
Right. But nobody told anybody about anything. Nobody knew about the itinerary.
Hmm.
It really was a city that hosted one of the biggest basketball games in the country,
Hmm.
one of the most viewed basketball games ever, and they didn't even have any type of activities or itinerary for the people.
And
And the
yeah,
girl said something about it, and she didn't. It wasn't like she was just looking for a reason to pick on Albany. It was in the context of a
yeah,
conversation, and they go and hold 6 hours of media about something so stupid. Go down and talk about the crime in Albany. Maybe you'll be able to stop somebody from getting shot. But
yeah.
that's my rant about the taking a great basketball game and turning it into something
Yeah,
ridiculous
and
like that.
Sean, and what we had, Sean, is we had 8 teams there, and these were some of the top teams in the nation. You look at, we had Notre Dame here, we had UCLA here, LSU, Iowa, you just name it, okay? And the top teams in Albany, New York, okay? And what did we contribute? We just provided the arena, okay, and really just had to host them. But the entertainment came from all outside, and they came and they packed them. My understanding is initial numbers is that they took in about 8.5 million or more.
I'm sure they did. Timmy, let me tell you something. When I was in the Albany County Legislature
Hmm.
for a couple years, I was the chairman of the Civic Center Committee, and that is the MVP arena, right? I
Yeah.
was I was very involved, right?
Hmm.
They do a fantastic job. Danny McCoy and the arena, Bob Belber, all those people who got these games to come to Albany did a
Yeah.
fantastic job. Kathy Sheen failed because it is her city. She's the mayor. She's the host. She should have done a better job making sure that the people who came here knew about Albany, had an itinerary, was given an idea of where they could go that was safe. Make sure they went to places they could enjoy. They're talking about on the media, oh, they could have went and seen the $1 million stairs. Who gives a shit about the
Yeah, about stairs.
stairs? I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not going out on a little vacation to go watch a great basketball game to go worry about the Capitol and the $1 million stairs. That's how stupid these people are. I want to know where the restaurants are, the bars are, and maybe some activities. Do you have anything I could do with my kids? Would me and my wife have a place that we could go and enjoy something?
Yeah.
Okay, the $1 million stairs. The only thing the $1 million stairs makes me want to do is puke because you and I paid for it with our tax money.
And it wasn't all just about Albany either. It was about the capital district too, the
Yeah,
region,
yeah.
and you know what, if they had, something to tell people where to go and what to do and things that, like you said, a good example, come to Cohoes, look at the Cohoes Falls. It rivals the American Falls, okay? People don't know it's there really. They missed the boat on it.
They
I
missed the
believe they
boat. But
did.
hey, listen, that's the city of Albany's problem. But I just wanted to share
Yep.
that because I thought it was a big topic because
Yep.
they made such a fuss out of something so stupid. But when people are
Yeah.
getting shot, you don't hear shit. Hey, listen, if you like the show, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Jump over to our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. Hit the bell. Get the alerts. Let you know when we're on, when our newest shows are up and running. Really appreciate it. And really want you to join the Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit family. Hey, Timmy, I want to just jump over to something else now for a minute, okay? The good old city of Cohoes. It seems like every single day that you wake up, King Keeler is somehow handing out $17,000, $18,000 raises
Yep.
to his family members.
And relatives. Yep, he is, no doubt about it. And here's another example, Sean. And just let's dive right into it. I sent you the information the best I know. I know you've been sick, under the weather, but the things that have been going on here, creating new positions, creating salaries, and who are benefit his family members. Okay, but we got some breaking stuff for tonight's podcast too. So now I can't hear Sean. Can anybody?
I shut my
There
mic
you
down
go.
because I was coughing.
Oh, okay.
I've been sick for
3
4 or
days,
5
4
days.
days.
I can't
Yeah.
shake it. I don't know what the hell I got, but it's really
I'm sure Bill Keeler loved it when you shut off your mic.
yeah, I'm sure he did because I want to talk about that guy, right?
Right.
So I apologize if I'm a little hoarse and if I start coughing, I'll just shut the mic off. But so let's just start here. Let's just do a recap. Okay, here's a recap. Bill Keeler took a $20,000 raise. He is now the highest paid mayor in the city's history.
True.
When
Yep.
he became mayor, he gave a family member the job as the secretary to the police department. That job paid about $48,000 for the last 20 years, in line with all of the other secretarial positions throughout the city.
Yeah, and now it's
Somehow,
64,000.
long hold and behold, ho ha hoo, however he did the magic, that job is now in the 60s, and
64,000.
so it went up about 20 grand.
Yeah.
So he got 20 grand, his daughter got 20 grand. Okay? Now you're going to love this, right?
Yep. You ready?
DPW workers who work under the most hostile working conditions, probably in America, under Steve Hennessy. I don't know if Steve's losing his mind. I don't know what the guy's problem is. Somebody probably needs to kick his ass. That's probably what's going to have to happen to him. But he is just destroying the people down there. People don't even want to go to work. I'm telling you that every day, you and I, little podcasters, get calls and run into employees from fire departments, police departments, DPW, hate this city, hate working for Keeler. They hate Steve Hennessy. They're treated like shit. And then, long and behold, part of our city's employees is the code enforcement. Now, code plays a very important role in our city, right? It does. It plays a very important role. We have code enforcers that have been there 4 or 5 years, and we have code enforcers who's been there 9 years.
Yes.
And then we have Bill Keeler's brother-in-law that he hired, another family member.
For 1 year.
Been there 1 year. No, I think he's been there 2 years now.
Okay, 2 years.
So all of a sudden, there's a need to create a new title. It should say King Keeler's brother-in-law as the title, pay hike, but instead they called it, I believe, senior code enforcer.
Yes, that's what they called it. Yep.
Now, you would think that senior code enforcer wouldn't be the lowest guy in the department. It'd be the senior guy in the department. Senior code enforcer, right?
And the pay increased to 73,000.
Whoa, so that's about $17,000. Holy shit, are you shocked? 20 for him, 20 for his wife, 17 for the brother-in-law. We're talking over $60,000 in pay raises just for the mayor, his daughter, and now his wife's brother. I mean,
it's happening, folks. It's happening.
This guy is so brazen. This guy is he is just he's a pig. He's just taking money from the taxpayers, handing it to his family, and the guy's destroying the city. This guy's done shit to make the city better. Everything they touch is falling apart. But somehow he gets the balls to just hand out these raises to his family members. Now, let me just say one more. Also, 90,000 went to one of the judges that also happens to be related to him. Yep. So when you add that all together, the taxpayers are upwards of about $160,000 in jobs and raises for King Keeler and his family. Now, I'm not going to say they're not, I don't know them. I'm not going to say they don't deserve a job. But I'm going to tell you that when everybody else is fighting with the son of a bitch to get a 2% raise in negotiations.
They see this going on, yeah.
And he's handing out $20,000 raises, and every one of these people are his family. He hired them as mayor, promoted them as mayor, gave them raises as mayor, and shits all over everybody else every single day. Every day.
Yeah. Now, just got an hour ago, I just got told another DPW employee put in a 2-week notice. They started pissing and moaning. Oh, Jesus. So the guy turned around and left. Said, that's it, I'm done. And that happened today. I know that you're going to be losing. You got 3 or 4 more guys out there that are looking for work somewhere else to get the hell out of Dodge.
I can tell you that I know other people who have called
Yeah.
me up personally and are leaving. They
Yeah,
can't work for Steve Hennessy.
They can't.
Steve Hennessy's got something wrong with him. This guy is mental.
Sean, let me tell you what's actually. Yeah, let me tell you what some of the people have called me about what's
I
happening.
don't want to talk about their names though.
No
Because
names.
this guy would punish them to no end.
No kidding. But say the guys on the trash trucks here, say in the Fifth Ward or any other ward, if they need to stop at a city-owned building or whatever to take a leak because they're on the road all day long, they're being blocked to do that. They're not being permitted. Other things going on is down in the yard. Okay, they're sitting there and they're timing the guys while they're on their breaks. Okay, so the guys are being so badly micromanaged. They just want out. They're stressed out. They don't want to stay here anymore, and they're just bailing big time.
There's people who I watch get punished like they're like capital punishment for shit, and then there's people who should be fired because they hang around with these guys, don't even get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It's the worst working conditions the city's ever seen. It is the worst government the city's ever had. I worked for John McDonald. He was a tough bastard. We had a lot of battles. This guy is 100 times worse.
Worse. Yeah.
This guy, first of all, this guy doesn't even show up for work. Secondly, he's not even in the meetings. Third, when people get promoted, he don't even show up to do the interviews, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
He's just, Timmy, he's just no good. But
he just thinks he's above everything else.
Timmy, this is all he's after. This guy just wants money. Money. How does the people of this city not look at what's happening in this community? Not look at, did you ever watch the show Roadhouse?
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. The guy who at the end, they end up beating the shit out of him. But that guy was like
Ben Gazzara. Yeah.
He was a tyrant, right? He'd go to every business and he'd burn them down and steal their money. That's what this guy does. This is what they do to these employees.
Yeah.
They break them down. If you kiss his ass, you'll get promoted. It's not just DPW. Look what they just did in the fire department.
In the fire department, no kidding. Another clear case. It's not merit. It's not you earned it or anything like that. It's political.
Well, first of all, they screwed Tommy Fife. I wish Tommy would sue the bastards. I wish he would have. I wish Tommy was like me and just said, screw you, and just sued him and went after him with every ounce of power that he had in his body and fought these bastards to the end. But I understand why he didn't, and not everybody's as wacky as I am. But he's got 30 years on the job.
Right, and he's
probably got 27 years on the job. Anyway, Bobby Johnson, 30 years on the job. Okay, these two guys are on the list. Now, technically, if a list only has 2 people, you can throw it out. You don't have to use it. But when the highest and most senior guys in the department are the people on the list, you would think that out of respect for their time and service and their knowledge, that you would hire one of them. But what does he do? He skips over them, has a little secret swearing in ceremony, and he hires Brian Bullock as a captain, who happens to be the union president, who happens to seem to have a cyclops for an eyeball when it comes to them screwing the fire department, and he doesn't see anything that's going on. And lo and behold, he gets promoted.
Yeah, he was a lieutenant, I think, only 1 or 2 years ago. And then less than that, next thing you know, he's a captain.
And he's skipping over guys with 30 years.
Yeah,
and here's the worst part.
I think George Primo Jr. was one of them.
George was too.
He got skipped over.
Here's the worst part. He only hired them provisionally, and he's going to make them all take another test. This guy may fail the test, and then you just wasted all this time putting a guy in charge of people's lives who's not qualified to be in charge of people's lives. It's bullshit. And this guy doesn't care. Is this how he operated with the state police? I doubt it, because I was told he was nothing but a pen pusher.
Yeah,
he didn't do any shit. Yes.
Seniority, longevity, none of that means anything to this guy. No merit, none of that means anything. It's family first, buddy, friends, or the bobbleheads.
He has no respect for the city. He has no respect for the employees, and he has no respect for his office. And you want to know something? If you just look around the city, it's filthy, it's dirty. DPW will tell me, listen, we have garbage all over the streets, and we go to pick it up, and Hennessy says, don't pick it up unless you have a ticket. Screw the ticket. I used to say, pick it up, write it down. We'll send a bill to the guy who put it out or threw it out or didn't do the right thing with it. We had this city clean. Pete DeSico, God bless his soul, and Mr. Senecal, God bless Mr. Senecal. He's still kicking, and he still would call me if I was in office, because we had the alleyways that were filthy. You could drive down the alleyways, and they were spick and span. We cleaned up the streets. We went after absentee landlords. We went after crime. We pushed drug dealers out of the city. Okay, we took whatever action we had to do to make Ransom Street beautiful and safe, and have people paying $2,000 a month to live down there, and have disposable money to spend to make bars and restaurants flourish. Now you throw a bowling ball down on Friday. The only place that's got any true business is 2 bars. Outside of that, the other 20 places are empty. You could throw a bowling ball down and hit nobody. It's a disgrace. It's dirty. It's filthy. This guy don't care. The employees are just fed up. But hey,
they're leaving.
You get what you vote for.
Right. And, even police are leaving, okay?
Listen, 25 police officers left. Don't think for...
That's a lot. That's a whole force.
Yeah, don't think for 1 second they left because they wanted to. They had their time and said, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
This place is crazy. Fire department. This place is crazy. Look what they're doing. DPW, you work for Hennessy. It's like working at the chain gang.
Yeah, and
for Christ's sake.
I was telling Adam Biggs when I saw him the other day, I said, Adam, I'm at a point right now when I see all the things going on, especially, you got the blockade on Orchid Street over there, Orchard Street.
What the hell are you drinking?
Orchard Street.
You got your Orchid.
I got, that blockade over there, okay, we're in our 8th day down there. And I said, you know what? I told Adam, I said, when I look at everything added all together as one whole thing, to me, I think the guy's unfit.
Well, I think he's like, I told you before. Say what you want because I just speak my piece, but he just, any guy that walks with his head down to the ground, his knuckles scraping on the ground, and he can't communicate. Hey, Mayor, how are you? Mm-hmm. Hey, how you been? Hey, Mayor, what about this? All he is a one-way street. He don't care about the worst ambulance in the world, in our opinion, right? Just an opinion.
Yep.
Every other place, we just talked about another county throwing them out.
Yep. And
this guy has to give him $10 million.
Was it Dutchess County? Was that?
Timmy,
I know that it was another county said adios ambulance, and they got rid of.
They just got rid of him. This guy here wants to pay him $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's absurd. Mm. I got to tell you something. I talked to people at DPW. They said they invited Sean Higgins to the meeting. He did a no-show. So I don't know, Sean. Maybe you're working at the jail, but maybe you should have told him you weren't coming. But I'd like you to come on the show. I've been asking you to come on now for like 5-6 weeks.
I've asked him too.
And you don't want to come on, yet you're telling me that you're just going to be this stand-up guy. You're going to do the right thing. Well, hey, you got DPW workers, and there are people coming to you telling you how they're being treated. I hear crickets. Adam Biggs, you were going to make a big change. I hear crickets. Everybody's counting on you guys as to be the voice of reason, and I hear crickets. Now, I'm not saying, maybe I just haven't heard. But I don't know. I get a phone call, an email, a text, a knock on my door every day from people that live in this city and work in this city telling me about problems, and nobody seems to want to hear their problems or do anything about it. And then I get the stupid ass shit. Well, what am I supposed to do? Here's what you do. When you see something wrong, you say something. There's never a wrong time to make the right decision. If that means getting up, taking on the mayor, and fighting about how the people are being treated in this city, these employees, then just get up and fight with them. Let people know what's going on. This is like a secret society. We appoint people in the dark of night. We blockade parking lots because people have a concern. We do all these things to hurt people. We do shit to help them.
His newest excuse is, well, it's an insurance liability.
Yeah,
Come on.
He's an insurance liability. These parking lots been here for 50 years.
Yeah, and now suddenly they're an insurance liability.
There's no insurance liability. The liability lies in the incompetence that he possesses. Mm-hmm. That's the liability.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He knows nothing. And
You know,
it shows in everything that he does. And there's a lot of people in this city. You know what? I've been here my whole life. It's always been a city of split personalities, right? There's the lunchbox, middle class, and the lower class people trying to get out of the rut and move up into the middle class. That's where I came from. Okay, I was a poor kid. I don't know what were we called, lower class, poor kid. I don't know what the hell you call us, but I know that our goal was to just get into the middle class so that we can live a decent life, right?
you know, I'm sure I could say the same thing about you. But I get up in the morning, and my day is almost like a full-time job with all the messages that comes in. I
Oh, I
mean,
know.
and the emails, okay, and the text, and with all the stuff is gone. And you know what it tells me? People are desperate in this city.
They are
Okay,
desperate.
they're desperate, and they're looking for someone to come forward and you look at. I do what I do because these guys here are so in fear of vindictiveness, retaliation, that they come to guys like me, they come to guys like you, because what can Keeler do to me? Nothing, and I'll take him on.
Well, listen, I took them all on. You look what they
Yeah,
did to me.
yeah.
But
Well,
hey,
you,
I
you
regret.
yeah, but you were still in the target board,
I
okay?
still have no regrets, man.
Yeah,
You fight the good fight. You fight
yeah.
for the people. And listen, the moral of my story here about saying
Mhm.
that I was again I was in the low class, and your goal is to get up into the middle class,
Yeah, yeah,
or maybe I misspoke. I called myself low class. Maybe I was in the
yeah,
poor class. I don't know where I don't know the title where you
yeah.
put somebody socially, economically, but I was down here. My goal was to get up here. But there was a whole bunch of people in this city that were a little higher. Believe it or not, for a small city, it's
Yeah.
been split down the middle. There's a bunch of people in this city that think this guy's doing a good job. And those people are just as problematic as he is. Because if you can't look out your window and see a $3 million park that looks like shit now, bums sleeping in the streets, the city dying fast, garbage all over the place, employees in every department for the first time speaking out about how they're treated like shit. If you can't see all that, then you don't want to. You
You
just
know,
think you're important and you're some high class asshole and you can't see past your nose to look down at the little people and think, who cares what they have to say? He's a state trooper. He's got a lot of money. I hang out with those type of people.
mhm.
Screw you. Start opening your eyes. Start fixing your city because it's falling apart, and start standing behind the employees because they're being treated like shit.
What I do is I go on the city website all the time and I try to find out what's going on, but you can't even find out what's going on with the day to day operations, because one example is the board of managers. Okay. Who's the king of that? It's the mayor, right? No
Yeah.
minutes posted online since September of 2023, I believe it is. So you can't find out what's going on if they're not doing their job, not informing people. And, most of the other volunteer boards are pretty good at it, but it's that board of managers. I could right off the top of my head come on out and tell you that one is terrible. And who's the head of that? It's mayor, and it speaks for itself. He doesn't want to let people know what's going on. And so without minutes, the only way to get those minutes or to find out what's going on is you got to foil the city clerk.
Well, the bottom line is that government never wants you to know what's going on. Just look
Yeah.
at the country. I mean,
Mhm.
look at, I have eyes, you have eyes,
Yeah.
okay? You,
Yeah.
you have two people running, one president who's been there 3 years and controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Could have done anything they wanted in the world and did
Mhm.
nothing about the border crisis.
Mhm.
And now they're
Well, it looks like Sean froze. He got himself so wound up, okay, that he's frozen now. Don't know what happened to him. So look at, while he's off, if people can still hear me, I'm going to read some of the viewer comments, okay, and a lot of them are just like Facebook users, so I don't know who you are, okay, but one user says comes on.
I think we're having some problems with Timmy. But hey, we were getting to the
No,
end of the
no,
show
no, it
anyway.
was you. You were frozen. You were
The
frozen,
show
not me.
is really focused on trying to let you know what's going on in your city and the surrounding areas, right? Right now in our city,
Hey, you got me
We have
minimized.
a serious problem.
Yeah.
Where'd you go? No, I was putting you back on, but you were missing. I don't know what happened to you.
And froze.
No,
There I am. There I am.
we were still going. You were going.
Well, on
You
my
went,
end, you were going. So
yeah,
anyway, we're back.
well, we almost thought we got rid of him, everybody, but no, P's still here.
No, yeah, yeah,
But I was saying, the city's in a lot of trouble, the country's in a lot of trouble, and it all seems to be the same bullshit, right?
yeah.
Instead of just doing what's right for people and doing the right stuff, we always have to just fight about everything. And I'm tired of fighting. All I know is this. I made a conscious decision that I'm heading to Florida. I can't wait to get out of here. Now, I don't know if I'll go full time because it's a little hot down there, but I know for 5 or 6 months a year, I ain't going to be in Cohoes because Cohoes is heading for a dead end street. And if you don't think for 1 second, I want you to underscore what I'm saying. I want you to hear it first out of these big fat lips. This guy is breaking the city. He is spending your money like a drunken fool. And he may be able to say to you, no tax increase, no tax increase, no tax increase. The only time you can really give a no tax increase is when you spend less in your budget, you're increasing your rainy day fund, and you have a zero. If you give out a zero and your rainy day fund is going down in dollars, all they're doing is taking money out of the savings account, paying for bills that eventually the savings account will run dry, and they will have no money to pay those bills unless they come after you for taxes.
Well, what I see, Sean, is what they call a tax stabilization rate now. Okay,
It's tax stabilization fund.
Right, fund. Okay, and what that money is in there right now is about $1,126,400. Okay, which when it used to be to me and unassigned, basically should add 3 or 4 million in there.
So let me tell you what they did. Now I haven't looked at the budget, but I'll look at it at the end of the month so that I can really report back to what I see. But we have a fund, and it for us it's called an undesignated reserve fund, which means the city can spend it on anything it wants, just like if you have a savings account.
Yeah.
And for years and years and years, the city never had enough revenue to cover their expenses. Okay. So they would take money out of that savings account, plug it into the budget, and then they'd have a little tax increase or they'd say zero. Zero is a terrible decision to make when you're stealing money out of that fund. When I became the mayor, we decreased our reliance on that fund, which means every year we used a little less, and our goal was to get to zero. But every year we came under budget. And so we came under budget. We relied less on that savings account, and we didn't have to raise your taxes because we had new revenues.
And the city was in a better shape.
We were in far better shape. What they did so that you wouldn't get caught is they took money out of the undesignated reserve fund, created what was called a tax stabilization fund. So if you're just an everyday citizen, you'd look at this thing and say, oh, this money's used to keep the taxes low. Well, really, it's just stealing money out of the savings account.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
What really matters is how much was in the undesignated reserve fund when I left, almost $5 million.
Around 4.
So the question is how
close to
it's
that.
The most we ever had.
Yeah.
So
And now the best I can see, Sean, is a little over $1 million.
Well, I don't know how much is in the undesignated reserve fund, but they would take that out, put it in what's called the tax stabilization fund. So they're just stealing money. They're playing a shell game. You will get hammered. Believe me.
I think it's going to happen within 2 years.
There's no way in the world that you can hand out $1 million a year for an ambulance, which is new revenue, $80,000 a year in new raises to just 4 people who are in somebody's family. Continue to negotiate and hand out the raises that you need to the workforce. Pay for unexpected things that may pop up that you use the savings account for. There's no way you can do all that and say you're fiscally sound. Bullshit. I don't care what report comes out. I've been in this business far too long. I know every game. I know every shell game. I know every hiding spot. Okay. The city's in major trouble, and we're all going to pay the price for it because you put a moron in office, you get a moron response, and the only real morons is you, me, and the people that vote for this. Well, you and I didn't, so maybe we're not in that category. But anybody that voted for this guy, you really just might as well kick yourself in your own face because that's what you've done. And nobody pays attention to it, right?
I get it. Well, one of the Facebook users about how you froze on my end. You look like you froze and disappeared. One of our Facebook users said, "Tell Sean to pay the bill."
I paid a freaking bill. I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, we got a few things. I don't know if you want to, if you really want to hear me hit that breaking news that happened down in City Hall. What do you think? Should I release that or not?
You should talk about anything you want because we got 20 minutes left.
Okay, let me tell people what happened. Okay, and I'm going to leave names and things on out. Okay, but let's put it. Let's just cut it right on down to some basic information. What I found out, which I confirmed happened. Okay, is that Mayor Keeler was inside City Hall during normal working hours, and he was getting petition signatures for Albany County DA David Soares.
Oh, that's interesting because that's against the law.
Totally against our own
Matter
ethics
of fact,
code.
they put people in jail for using tax time and campaigning.
Yeah, Section
And
36.
matter of fact, David
16.
Soares would be the guy that prosecuted you. So maybe we should send a message down to David and ask him if he supports the mayor of the city while he's on duty, going to employees while they're working, asking them to sign petitions for his candidacy. Pretty interesting. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
We got proof of that?
Yeah, well, I will get the proof. I put in a FOIL request, right? FOIL request to get the copy of these petitions, right? Now, look they're city records now because he created it. And where are they? They're at arm's length right on his desk. So I get a letter today from the city clerk. Well, they'll be available in about 20 days, right?
We'll get them from,
I'm going to get them from the county, and I'll have them
within the Board of Elections because they're due, I think, tomorrow.
So I'll have them within 48 hours. So he thinks he can drag his feet on out there and make them disappear. Ain't going to happen. I will get my hands on them, and I'll be able to tell the people exactly what he did. And look, I'm going to protect people who signed the petitions. Okay, they probably did it under duress. I mean, they're a captive audience.
Well, you got your boss saying sign this.
Yeah, or
well,
whatever.
So what we should do is ask the DA. Let's send a letter to the DA tomorrow asking for his public integrity unit to investigate whether the mayor of the city of Cohoes, and I just got a text message from somebody saying, yes, it is true because it happened to me. So we could get the district attorney's public integrity unit to investigate whether Keeler on official time was going to employees, having them sign official petitions for politics while they're being paid, and see what his public integrity unit says about that.
Yeah, and look, it's Section 3616 of our ethics code, and it's line item 3. Okay, and it says you people can do campaign activity, but it says you cannot do it during your normal workday.
Sure, you can't do it while you're working.
Exactly what he did, because he thinks he's above everybody else. Okay, I know about it. I got it. I had people contact me about it. I got a FOIL in. I'm going to get the records, and then all hell is going to break loose once I have it in my hands. Okay, he got away with a lot of things, but he's not getting away with this one.
Well, quite interesting though, right? Here's Mr. Police Officer, Mr. Integrity, getting political petitions signed during work hours to employees while they're working for the district attorney who would prosecute you if you were turned in for doing political campaigning during work hours.
And he plays stupid, Sean. Okay,
How does that work?
He at one time was the chairman of the Cohoes Ethics Board. He knows this.
Yeah, but just hear what I just said.
Yeah.
You have the mayor of the city who was a state police commander collecting political signatures during work hours to employees or from employees for the district attorney who you would call to prosecute somebody for doing that. How is this going to pan out?
Yeah.
Albany County.
And
so we should ask the district attorney to investigate this.
Yeah, it happened. I confirmed it with people out there, and it's not going to go away. So if you're listening to this podcast, okay, I am on it, and
Let me tell you this, my dear friend Timmy.
We're going to do something
It
about
will go away because, see, there are no rules until they make rules. I learned a valuable lesson, right?
Yeah.
I did nothing that everybody else didn't do. And there was nothing wrong with anything that we did, except when they changed the rules to go after you because they don't
Yeah.
like you. So I can
Yeah.
assure you that they're not going to do nothing. David Soares wrote a letter. He never writes letters to anybody. You don't get a letter from him clearing you, saying we investigated you and we found no crime.
Yeah.
You know who got a letter?
Who?
Keeler, when he had
Really?
DPW working on his house.
Yeah.
When he was using employees.
And his anniversary is coming up this month.
Yes, and he got a letter. I'll stand corrected. We'll ask the DA. Well, matter of fact, we should foil the letter. I believe the DA sent a letter directly to the mayor saying that there was nothing that he did was inappropriate.
Yeah, I do believe that happened.
5 employees on the clock being paid for by taxpayers' dollars, grading your land so that you could build a garage.
And for people to know how extensive that was, okay, hey, I'll tell you the lie and everything that actually happened very quickly. Basically, he had 12 loads, okay, 20-yard loads of dirt brought up, right? So that means 2 trips back and forth. So that's 24 trips. After that was done, then they brought up the front loader. Okay, they spread it all around, back drag and everything to basically grade it. And then after that was done, they brought the city sweeper up to sweep all the road and all the dirt and mud that was dragged on. And then after that, they had the contractor come in there and patch the whole side of the road on his side right there because of all the damage from all the heavy equipment. And he said, the reason why I took the dirt is I wanted to save the city money. Meanwhile, up at Reservoir Number 2, right across from Holy Trinity, what do we have up in there, Sean? We have a DPW dump site for dirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just so full of shit. He stinks.
Yeah.
If he was Pinocchio, he'd look like he has 3 legs because his head would be down. They'd all be touching the ground. He's full of shit. The bottom line is this guy got away with something that nobody else would get away with.
Gets away with everything.
And they just keep letting him do it, and he keeps doing it, and he keeps doing it, and nobody's going to say nothing because you don't break the rules when there are no rules. You only break them when they make them up because they want to come after you. It's a political society. It's a secret society of a bunch of scumbags who all want to have power in their lives over other people. Right.
It's two-tiered. And because I even went to the state police on some of the issues, right? I spoke to detectives. They did the investigation. Okay. And after they got all said and done, they said, no, we're not going to touch this because we're not going to spend the resources on this. Okay. Even though, and this happened to someone and who eventually got convicted for it. All right. But the state police wouldn't touch it. You know,
Timmy,
why?
do you remember when I was going through a terrible time and Governor Cuomo, who knows nothing about my life, called me out to resign?
Yes.
And my response was, you tell that son of a bitch he's the most corrupt governor in America and he should worry about himself because I knew the dirty deeds he was doing, right? Okay. And what did he do? He said to the state police, I don't care that you investigated this guy and closed the case. Reopen it. You don't have you don't have a right to say reopen a case
and find something.
Basically, that's what it was.
Yeah, reopen and find. Dig.
And that's what ended up happening.
Yeah.
Right? Reopen the case. Wait a minute. I was investigated by 15 months, cleared by every state agency, and all of a sudden, reopen the case.
Yeah.
Like, that's a political person interfering with law enforcement and politically telling him to come after me because I told him he was a scumbag. And guess what? He's a scumbag.
Now,
guess what? Where's he now?
Yeah, he's out too. Look at, you know what? Look at, despite me doing this podcast with you, right? It's always been my feeling that this was a railroad job going on from day one. Okay. And the Common Council sat there and took a vote to say, we got to, they never had the authority because there was never any issue with a state or local crime. Okay, that they had any authority to take a vote. They
investigated me for every state crime, and when they couldn't find one, they send somebody else
to the federal.
And then you're done. Listen, I will tell you this: I don't talk to Ralph Signoraci no more. I can't stand the kid, but he got railroaded, and his life got ripped apart.
Yes, he did.
And our friendship got ripped apart. And I understand that we both had to deal with the most corrupt system in the world. But you know
Yes.
what? We were just two little peons.
Yeah.
You know, it cost $4 or $5 million to even go to a trial.
Yeah.
So
I
the
mean,
bottom line is, I swallowed hard. I ate what I had to eat. I did what I had to do. I took care of my kids. I put them first, as I always did.
yeah, you
And
save
who
your
gives a
family.
shit? I'm not the mayor of
Yeah.
Cohoes. Big
Right.
deal. I
Yeah.
have more fun doing the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
But at the end of the day, the moral of the story is, little guys like me get killed, and
Yeah.
they go after you with every single
Yeah.
resource they have. And people like Keeler can do things
Yeah.
like have DPW working on his house, engaging in political activities with employees during work hours, and
Yeah.
nobody will even raise an eyebrow.
You know what, Sean? People say to me, "Well, Tim, if you're all that, why don't you run for office?" And the reason is simple: I could do more outside of the tent, throwing the grenades in, than I can being in there. Okay, and then having them threaten me with something or
Running for office
something.
is very hard.
It is.
And it's a popularity contest.
Yeah.
And you got to know people. And you know what? Billy Keeler beat a vulnerable guy by 100 votes.
Yeah.
I had 7 federal indictments. I had all this bullshit by the state, and I was on the news every 5 minutes. Like I was the big bad. Yeah, I was
Black Cloud.
Yeah, I was the worst guy in the world. And at the end, it turned out the best for me. They probably gave me a better life because I'm a better grandfather. I spend more time with my grandkids because you know what? When I was the mayor, I dedicated my life 24 hours, 7 days a week. I didn't care if I liked you or loved you. If you needed me, I was there. I worked around the clock. I wouldn't have time to be a great grandfather. I wouldn't have time to be a great dad to my daughter while she's trying to raise her kids. I wouldn't have been able to do those things if I was the mayor. So at the end of the day, if you truly believe in God like I do, okay, if you believe that your life is destined and the good Lord will put you in places and take you out of them and put you in situations and move you out of them, and he'll always put you in the right place, I'm in the best place of my life.
Yeah. Happier.
Other than sitting here with you.
Far more happier, other than I got to put up with you for 1 hour a week.
But I do love the city. And I do hate seeing it go to shit.
Yeah.
And I do hate seeing a guy who's so greedy and so shameless that he'll take all this money, feed his family right in front of the public eye. He's not doing it blindly. He's doing it right in front of you. And nobody says a freaking thing.
Well, you got a common council, okay? You got a common council. And you know what? I go down there and I don't put up with any crap. I lay into them there, and, these guys sit there and listen. But it needs to be them that needs to do this.
I will believe that the council is a dedicated group when I see it. And right now, again, Sean Higgins, you've been asked to come on the show 5 times. We're going to treat you with nothing but respect. We won't talk about things you don't want to talk about. We'll talk about the city. But my God, you talk a good game, but where are you? Where were you for these DPW workers who are being destroyed? I'm not saying you weren't there. I'm asking you, where were you? Maybe you had to work. Maybe you couldn't make it. How come they don't know? How come they're like, I don't know, we didn't show up? Okay. I believe in the kid. I think I've had conversations with him in the past. I appointed him to the Housing Authority Board. I think he's a good kid, but they're all talking a good game. They're all dressing up fancy and going to all these political functions like they're big shots. Forget about being a big shot. Take the job for what it really means. Be the advocate for your community. Make sure you're there to do the right thing. Don't let these employees get punched around. And if all you can do is be an outspoken critic, then be outspoken critic. But hey, come on the show. I have great faith in you. I believe you're going to do the right thing. But you know what? I need to see it. And Adam, you're as quiet as a church mouse. Why?
Well, you know what? He got stared down by the mayor at the last meeting. It was almost like, it was almost like an intimidating stare. Okay. And
he should have stared back at him.
Yeah. Well,
maybe the kid needs to get possessed for 5 minutes and just go. You know what? Did you ever just have a moment where you just go freaking nuts? Maybe the kid's got to let some of that steam out and just have a moment where when everybody's picking on you, you fight back.
Yeah, but you know what? I think he had the last laugh though, because
Good.
on the Orchard Street sale parking lot, they shot it down.
Good. No,
You
that's what
know?
I'm saying. I
Yeah,
have faith in him.
yeah,
I have faith in Adam. I think he's one of the night.
he is.
You're right there.
Yeah.
What are you on Viagra?
No,
Knock your
I knocked my mic over.
That's what I said. You knocked your mic over. Listen, I believe he is a super guy. I really like him. I really like Sean Higgins.
I do.
I
Too.
just want to see them. I want to see them stand up. Maybe I haven't seen it, and maybe I should apologize in advance if you're doing things that I haven't seen. But that's why I asked you. Adam came on the show. Adam said he'll come on again. Sean, you should come on the show. Let's just talk about things. You're the head of public safety. Let's talk about the things. Let's answer the question to me that I asked you. Why is nobody screaming that you hired a kid from Schenectady as a firefighter? Let's put this in perspective. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about. Keeler tries to bullshit you and say, oh, we always hire the people with the highest scores. Bullshit. Because he just proved to you right now in the fire department, he didn't do that.
And he didn't do it in the DPW with this code
police
enforcement.
department. He hasn't hired. Now, DPW don't take exams, but he hasn't hired the most senior people for the highest jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
I just got a message, and I had this already written down.
Yeah.
But they want to pay his brother-in-law $8,000 more than the senior foreman in the DPW. So the senior foreman that oversees all these projects, all this work, all these people, has 20 years on the job.
Yeah.
They want to pay his brother-in-law $8,000 more.
And they want to put him into that position first. Okay.
Well, they want to put him in provisionally, like they did with Bollock.
Yeah, like all the other guys that have already been there. So what did we talk about? Okay, seniority means nothing. Okay, it's basically, if you're loyal to the mayor, okay, and you're going to reap the benefits. Okay.
Listen, there's.
Do we have time to read some comments?
Last podcast, there was 37,000 people that watched the show.
Yep.
Out of those 30,000 people, hundreds of emails come in, hundreds of messages. They don't all, unfortunately, they don't all fit on the screen.
Yeah.
Everybody said, you don't have to tell us what our eyes are seeing that lived in Cohoes.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
that tells you that people see what's going on. Sure, let's read some comments.
Yep. Do you want me to go or you want to go? Okay, let me just, because some of these are, let me see some that's got a name here. Let me go with Donnie Gibbs here. He said, I wrote in Sean Morse. So he, okay, so what he
Thanks
did
for
is.
the trouble.
Yeah, okay. We got Fran Dudwar. She says, wow. We got Sean Dansley, the Roddy Piper effect. Just when you have the answers, he changes the question. Okay. Susan Big out there. Hey, I'm a true believer. Everything happens for a reason. Okay. What she's saying. Okay. Then we got one other person here down here, Facebook user. What he says about you, Sean. Sean, you got a big heart. I believe you should become a Republican and fight for Cohoes. The best is yet to come. I got to look around my camera to read the rest. But anyway.
Hey, Robert O'Donnell said, I'm glad I didn't work for Steve Hennessy. He sounds like a big, I can't say the word.
Yeah.
He's a clown. I worked for these clowns in the school district. And then Big Teddo said he has no respect for the city residents or employee. And Steve Devlin says, hey, it's me, Fireball Devlin. He's probably on his third bottle of Fireball.
That or making his 100th sub down at this shop.
Listen, there's a lot of people watching. We appreciate it. Make Cohoes great again. I wish we could make Cohoes great again. But, hey, listen, do yourself a favor, right? If you could do something nice for somebody, do it, man. If you could pass it on, pass it on. We all realize that this is a short journey, and we're far better if we do some acts of kindness. And I may be a little wacky, but every time I can help somebody, I get the greatest.
You do.
I get the greatest gift back just from helping them. So
yeah, you're always.
if you want to make Cohoes great again, if you see something, say something. If you see somebody who needs a helping hand, help them out. You want to pay for somebody's coffee in Dunkin' Donuts line, pay for somebody's coffee. A lot of good people watching the show, a lot of good people in this city. Don't give up. Keep fighting for the cause, and hopefully we can get Sean Higgins on the show soon. And the mayor of Troy, got to reach back out to her. Make sure that the Democrats over in Troy didn't eat through her wire because she kept losing our signal. But until then, Timmy, it's good to see you.
Yep.
I got to go take some NyQuil.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. I know you've been sick for 3 or 4 days, but yeah, you stuck it out.
Yeah, well, hey, listen,
we'll see you next week.
I appreciate it. Hey, everybody, it's good to see you. Truth, lies, political bullshit. And this is Sean Morris, my good friend, Crazy Timmy. Please subscribe. See you soon.